Hello and welcome to another RiderCamTV video, and this week we've got something a little bit kind of special. I'm on my own in the garage. It's a sunny day outside, but it's nice and quiet, so I took the opportunity to record this because we're looking at the Carpuride, and this is the 702 BMW. Now there's loads and loads of reviews about these, and they seem to be pretty good. And when they got hold of us and said, would you have a look at reviewing it? Now, obviously we love the Chiggy, but the Chiggy's got lots more involved. This is just a CarPlay or Android Auto unit. And it's links to your phone, your helmet, does all your CarPlay stuff, all your Android stuff. You can put an SD card up to 64 gig, I think, in there. Play some audio files, some video files. Got loads of settings on there, so we'll have a look and see what you get. It's waterproof as well, IP67 waterproof, Bluetooth, TFT cards, voice control, and it plays music as well. So we'll have a look in the box and see what we get. So the first thing we get is really good manual. Now this manual, with a lot of Chinese stuff, you get a lot of confusing writing, but this is actually written really well and really easy. It's really easy to connect. I've had a bit of a play around with it and it works really well. And the biggest thing about it is that it is a 7-inch IPS touchscreen. So let's have a look. I'm going to leave the unit till last. So in the box, all packaged really nicely, but in the box, what do we get? We get a RAM mount. Actually, that's metal RAM mount with a clasp, so you can put it around your handlebars if you wanted to. Obviously on the RTP you can't do that because you've not got handlebars unless you've got an extension on there. But that's all really good quality actually. So you get one of those. And then down there. Then what do we get in here? So you get another, that's the RAM ball to go onto the back of the bracket of the actual unit. And then you get your wiring, and the wiring is so simple. It's negative and a positive, or to an easy can if you wanted to, or we'll show you the option that we've got in a minute. But when you're connecting them, hopefully it will zoom in there. There's 2 pins in there. There's a little lug there. You push it together, screw it tight, and you've got a watertight seal. Really good quality. It is all plastic though. It is all plastic, but really good quality. So what else have we got? Now this is how I set it up using this accessory, because this accessory will enable you to power it onto USB on the bike. Now it needs, I think it's 2 or 3 amps, something like that. So the normal USB off a bike might not be enough to charge it. But again, it's the 2-pin. It couldn't be simply plug it into the back of the unit, screw it in, plug it into the USB, away you go, you've got power. And then you get a little spudger, I think. Tiny little spudger, not sure what that's for, but a little plastic spudger, come in handy for something, and a little spanner so that you can adjust everything should you want to. And you also get a 3 amp fuse, so there's your ampage, so you'd need like a 3 amp. And then you get a handy little card because we've got the bracket with it, so it's not only the unit, it's the bracket. So it's a BMW motorcycle user manual because it's got the BMW bracket onto it. And the bracket is really simple, and I'll show you that rather than showing you through there. But let's have a look at the unit. So the unit, 7 inches, beautiful display, and it really is a beautiful display. On the back, this one came already fitted with the BMW unit, but underneath there, hopefully you'll be able to see it, there's 4 screws there. That plate comes off, the wiring comes out of there with 2 pins, and it converts it to the pins you need on the BMW satellite preparation. Tuck the wires in there, have them down there. You can't see them because this is so deep a unit, but it's got the connections at the bottom and the top for your BMW Sat Nav prep. So when you plug it in, it will click in there. There is a bit of movement on there, and I did notice that, so I took the plate off and screwed it tighter so it doesn't move now. and that just goes into the unit. The unit's really well made, or feels really well made. It's very plasticky. Now, I got nothing against units that are well made, that are of decent plastic, but it's got a little bit of a sunshade on it as well. So that sunshade will hopefully eliminate some glare. It's screwed together with lots of tiny little screws, so I don't know how they would fare over a long distance of time in the rain. But on the side you've got a power button, and you have got a slot for an SD card. Now it's quite fiddly to get the SD card in there because they're tiny screws and it's in behind a little lug. But that is the unit. There is no hard drive in there. There's nothing that's going to get wrecked in there. It's just a screen that mimics your iPhone or your Android Auto or your Android phone. So how does it fit? Okay, so we're here with the satellite navigation prep on my RT, my 2023 RT. Obviously this is the original BMW satellite navigation prep, but it's not, it doesn't come with this bike. I've had it fitted, but you know that. So the unit itself, on the back of the unit, at the top, you've got the two little divots, and at the bottom, you've got the one long one, and they correspond to the long one here and the two little divots, and the two little divots are the ones that push up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place that in, there till I hear a click. Now you might have to, because it's a little bit big, you might have to put your hands in and just see if you can see that. Clicked in there. So you've got no red tab in between there. It's really difficult to see, but now that is solid on there. So let's start it up, see what happens. Instant Carpuride. And then their email. So the sound is played from the Bluetooth trans output. Okay, so let's go through all of the buttons on the screen. Excuse seeing me in the display because it is quite shiny, but it's huge. So at the top you've got your home button. That'll take you back to this screen. This is your media and your volume, so you can alter once you've connected your phone to it, and your phone is connected to your helmet. You can change the audio settings. In here you can change the equalizer, loud, standard. You can change loads of presets to custom, soft. What else have we got? Standard, classic, rock, jazz, electric, pop, soft, custom, then back to standard, which is what it came in. So the next one up here, now don't worry if this says Bluetooth with a cross on there, because it's connected to the Apple CarPlay, and presumably if you did it with Android Auto it would show the X on there as well. So you can't stream music from the SD card if you've got your phone connected to Apple CarPlay. So let's go back to home. Then up here we've got a volume brightness, so you can change the brightness. You can see it's a bright screen, so let's put it back down to there. And then we've got some backgrounds, so there's various different backgrounds you can have. They're all really basic, but I kind of like the deep black one. And then the help at the end will just direct you to where to get help from. So CarPlay, that they've called it iPlay, so that's how you get into CarPlay. Android Auto, Auto, audio output. Now it will show it's trying to look for an Bluetooth device to connect to output something, because I'm using Apple CarPlay, and they do say in the manual there's two ways to connect it. One is to connect your phone to the Carpuride and your phone to your helmet, which I've done with my Cardo Edge, and it works seamlessly, same with the Chiggy. But the other way is to connect your phone to the unit and then connect something like a headset, or you can use Apple earpods or Bluetooth earpods, that sort of thing, to connect as well and play it through there, so you're not stuck with just having to have your helmet connected to your phone connected to this. You can turn your display off, and all you do to reactivate it, you can see that it's very dim. You just press again and it activates. You can go to your phone. Now obviously my phone is working through CarPlay, or as they call it, iPlay, so it's not going to work through here. Same with music, that'll come up with the same, because I've not got an SD card in there because I don't intend to. You can have a look at the SD card if there was one in there, and then we get some settings. Now the settings are really basic, to be fair. Change your language, restore factory settings. You can see your system version for all of the different modules, I guess. You can see what the Wi-Fi is that it sends out. Really random password. You can select whether it's 5G or 2.4, which is really, really good. So how do you go back? There we go. And that's your Wi-Fi. You can turn it on or off. Bluetooth on or off. That simple. Now all I did to connect it was followed the instructions, and I went into the Bluetooth. I made sure discoverable was on. I searched for it on my iPhone, connected to it. It came up with this pairing number on the screen, like with any device. It was the same number, so I paired it. Away we were, and then we went to the Wi-Fi, connected to the Wi-Fi, and funnily enough, I didn't have to put any password in whatsoever. I looked for the Wi-Fi, it came up as Carpuride W702B. I clicked on it on my iPhone and then clicked connect, and it didn't ask for a password. I forgot the device on my iPhone to make sure it wasn't that I'd connected something with that before, but it didn't ever ask me for a Wi-Fi password, which was a bit weird. So at the top you can go back if you were forward. The time at the top takes it from your iPhone, but for me, Apple CarPlay. So you can change this, the order of all the apps, by going into, especially on an iPhone, I'm not sure about Android Auto, go into your settings, into CarPlay, and I just search for it. I just drag down in settings and type in CarPlay, it comes up. And then I click on the Carpuride, because whatever CarPlay units you've connected to with your phone, it will show up in a list. So I connected to or selected the Carpuride, and then I changed it. So I've got all of my navigation apps up the top. I've got my phone, my messages, WhatsApp, Apple Music, my radar. Car home is how you get back to the home screen of the device. I've got now playing, podcasts, audio, books, calendar, settings, Just Park, Spotify, if you use them. But anything that is on your iPhone that can be used with CarPlay will appear here, and you can change the order and you can move it about really, really easily. It works flawlessly. I've had it for a couple of weeks and it works flawlessly when I'm out riding. I've not noticed it judder, freeze, or have any issues whatsoever. In fact, I've been in awe actually, because where I'm sat, I've got the TFT from the BMW, and now I've got this massive 7-inch screen here. Because I've got the Innovv K7 cameras fitted to this one, which you would have either seen a review or you will see a review of them, I don't need to have the Chiggy system on this one, so I've gone for the Carpuride, and I think this is one of those things that I'd quite like to keep, to be honest. It's really, really good. You can go to your radar, you've got to accept stuff in terms and conditions and policies and all that sort of stuff in a lot of apps. Now it might not be picking it up because we're actually in the garage, and I've noticed that my radar is a little bit funky, it's a little bit glitchy. So let's go to normal CarPlay screen. Along the left hand side I've got the time, it's surrounded by the yellow because I'm recording on my iPhone. Battery level, I think the green is that it's actually recording on using your microphone, something like that. And these are the last 3 apps that I've used. So if I hit this one, it will take us to kind of like a different screen, so you've got access to everything all at one touch. Now you can't control this using any external controller, the Whizzy wheel or anything like that. It's all on the screen, and it really works well. Even with gloves on I can use it and it works really, really well. So at the moment I've got the map from Scenic, and then I can go where to or start ride, and then I've got my music there. So let's go where to. So let's search for somewhere. Let's go to, oh, I don't know why I've got that one in there. Let's go to, I don't know, Newquay, because everybody likes to go to Newquay. Newquay station, train station. Calculating route, and then as soon as I hit start nav, it will go. Now I'm not going to hit start nav because you will see my home address, which I don't really want you to see. So Waze, works really well. My Route app works really well actually with CarPlay. Apple Maps and Scenic, all brilliant. My go-to is Scenic and My Route app for GPX, because when I create files for my routes, I create them in My Route app, and I can either use My Route app or Scenic. So we're out and about, and you saw us talking about the Carpuride 702 or W702B or BMW, all fitted into the Sat Nav mount off the BMW on my beautiful 1250 RT, and 7 inches of IPS touchscreen goodness. Now the screen works with gloves, and I'm just wearing my leather gloves. That's all I'm wearing, and it works fine. So obviously with CarPlay you get this screen. You can have your maps there, so it tells you where you are, your music and search. And we are going to use, which map should we use? Let's use Google Maps, because Google Maps is quite good. Let's go to Halfords in Camborne. Halfords in Camborne, there we are. So it's going to take us 10 minutes, and let's go. See how it keeps up with the navigation. Now I have got my iPhone connected to my Cardo Systems Edge, and here we are getting the instructions in my helmet now. You won't hear the instructions because the instructions that I'm getting are in my moulded earplugs that I got from Ultimate Ear. So if you want some decent ones that work with Systems Edge, get hold of them, give them a shout, they'll sort you out. But let's follow this Google Maps. It's pretty up on beat at the moment. Now I think there's quite a market for these sort of devices, you know, because you've got people like Chiggy that are coming out with units that have got dash cams, blind spot detection, tyre pressure monitor systems, all of that integrated. But some people will want to do away with Garmin, TomTom, you know, that sort of thing, and just work and just use something off their phone. Now I've never ever enjoyed having on my phone or having on my bike a phone sat on the handlebars. Yes, I've got quad lock here, and the quad lock wireless charger is on the handlebars there, and that's purely for when I'm on away on a tour. If somebody has a problem and they get stuck, they can send me their longitude and latitude, or even pinpoint themselves on WhatsApp it over to me. I can chuck it into Google Maps and then follow it on my phone. But this is a real, I think, big gap filler where there's a unit that just does CarPlay or Android Auto in this case, but I've got an Apple iPhone, so that's what we're talking about, to fill the void between having to buy perhaps a little bit more expensive Garmin XT. They're about 350 quid. The XT2 is about £550, and we did a review on both of them, and to be honest, the XT is my go-to. The XT2 is alright, but the XT2 is a little bit of a faff to get GPX routes and that sort of thing onto it, whereas the XT is really, really simple to use and it works really, really well. But TomTom's various price points as well for the TomTom satellite navigations as well. He's going to come straight out, isn't he, into my road. Wonderful, isn't it? I think it's a side road, would you? TomToms, you know, lots of people like TomTom. I'm not a follower of TomTom. I've never really liked their devices that much, although they are pretty good. Lots of people use them. I'm not going to knock them. They're exceptional for navigating to longitude and latitude points rather than following routes and that sort of thing. They're much better, in my opinion, than some of the Garmin devices. However, lots of people have their choice. That's one of those good things. We have a choice between Garmin, TomTom, or whatever else you want to use. So I think this fills the gap, because I want to be able to use apps like Scenic, which is one of my go-to
navigation apps, because you can import GPX files into there. You can change various things about your route. The only thing you can't change about your route is you can't turn motorways off and on, but you can default to things like Waze, Google Maps, Apple Maps. You can, of course, buy the TomTom navigation app as well if you want to use TomTom. So it opens up a massive, huge world rather than having to have a proprietary unit that just does one thing. Now, there is a lot to be said for having a proprietary unit that just does one thing. It's made, and its sole purpose is to tell you where you are and to get you from point A to point B via various points. Whereas Apple Maps, you can still do that, but it doesn't take you from A to B on the exact roads that you want all the time, because it's looking at the traffic and taking data from your phone. Same with Waze, same with Apple Maps. Scenic is a little bit different. It will follow those routes, but it will give you different advisories as to whether you want to take a different route, and they all reroute you if you make a mistake. So they're all much of a muchness. You've just got to pick the one that you want. Now, data. Data is a big thing for a lot of people, especially when they're thinking about touring in Europe, and using a device that just solely works on CarPlay or Android Auto will be really worried about the data that you're going to be using. Now, I saw another YouTuber, I think he's called GSD321, and he did a really good review of this, and he put up on his video some times to use up a gig of data if you're using CarPlay. And I was really surprised that it takes an awful long time for you to use up a gig of data using your mobile phone with CarPlay. So I wouldn't really be too worried. The only thing I'd be a little bit worried about is if you've got a smaller capacity, or a smaller phone with a smaller capacity battery, I can't get the words out, then you might find that the battery runs down a little bit faster. Or if you've got a plus model of a phone and they've got a big battery, you might find that they run down okay and you can get a whole day's usage out of it. I really wish people would use the road as opposed to lean over the white line. But you can always take a thing like a quad lock to charge your phone on the go, an external battery, that sort of thing. So I don't think that's a huge issue. Now, there are apps like Scenic, Waze, Google Maps, TomTom. Now, certainly with Scenic and TomTom and Google and My Route app as well, because we use My Route app quite a bit, you can download all of the maps, so you can use them in offline and still use the GPS on your mobile phone to be able to give you the directions on the screen. So, to be fair, it doesn't matter what you use. You will fit into a bracket of wanting to get something or other to use on your bike, whether that be Garmin or TomTom or Chiggy or Carpuride or just a bog standard unit just to navigate. Or you might be one of those people that like to have your mobile phone on your handlebars charging all the time, exposing, in my opinion, exposing the whole of your life to something going wrong with the battery either dying, the phone falling off and smashing, you losing connectivity to everything. But that's just me. But on this screen, on Apple CarPlay, you can have the apps, or you can go back to this app. So I want to play my music, and I'm going to play my music, and now in my earphones, or my molded earphones, you won't be able to hear it. It's my music. Now, the only thing that they haven't got on this device is a way to go forward, pause, play, or change anything on the screen without touching the screen. So bearing in mind, when you're riding, set it up, be happy with how it's going, but just try not to be one of those people that keeps touching the screen, because it's not the greatest thing to be doing when you're riding. However, those of you that use things like Sena headsets, I'm sure Interphone headsets are just the same, Cardo packed up edges, you can use the buttons on your headsets like you've always used to, and you, like on Cardo, you can stop the music, start the radio, make a call, answer a call, all of that good stuff, get through to Siri and Hey Google and all that sort of stuff. If that's what you've set up on your device, you can just do that in the same way, because what this is taking advantage of is the connection that you have to the device is from your mobile phone. So your mobile phone is almost like the hub of the connectivity. So the connectivity comes from your phone. So there's two ways of connecting this, as we said earlier. You can connect your headset or a pair of earbuds or something to the unit, and then your phone to the unit, so you've got two things connected. Or, like I've done, you can connect your your mobile phone, which is connected to your helmet, directly to the device. And that's what I've done. And within only a few minutes, I know it's only been a short ride, in a few minutes there is Halfords on the left hand side. It's navigated me, it's been able to tell me exactly what's going on in my helmet. I've not missed a turning, but if I had done, it would have just rerouted and it would have just sorted itself out. So we've got our navigation app and everything else on there. So one thing that I have downloaded actually onto this device is my radar. Now in Cornwall it never seems to stop raining. It's a bugbear. It's just been raining solidly for 2 days, and it stopped raining about half an hour ago, so I seized the opportunity to get out. But I can move my radar around. You can see how responsive the screen is with a glove on, and I know it's got this funky little bit on it to presumably make sure that you can use it on the screen, but I use it on my other handlet, on my other finger. Works fine. CarPlay is a standard CarPlay. I'm not going to go into these bits because they've got personal details and data in there. My Route app is really, really good, especially if you use My Route app online, because you can directly access your routes that you have stored online. I really like Scenic. Scenic is a really good app. It seems to follow the GPX files properly and to the letter almost, as you intend. Same as My Route app. You got Waze. Waze is really good. I like Waze, although Waze has got a little bit of an issue with me, or I've got a little bit of an issue with Waze. It's good that you can alert people to potholes, police, all this sort of stuff, but you also get lots and lots of that. Bearing in mind I live in the UK, and there is potholes everywhere. You can't go down the road without a pothole, so you're constantly being notified, is it still there? And then it's like a community driven thing, so you can tell people that it's still there and they'll know that it's still there. Apple Maps. Lots of people use Apple Maps. Apple Maps isn't my favourite. It's okay. Apple Maps isn't my favourite, but it does work. Google Maps, it works as you would expect. So this unit is actually really, really nice. You can see as I was riding it wasn't vibrating too much, but 7 inches of a display that's really bright is really good. The only thing I do notice is I think I would have to angle it down a little bit, because there's quite a lot of reflection that you've got to kind of look through to see the screen. Unlike the TFT, there is like a dull reflection. This one's quite a shiny reflection. Doesn't take anything away from how you use it, but I might just angle it down if I was away and it was a sunny day perhaps. But other than that, it's a fabulous unit. About 220 quid. There's always deals on them. Really, really nice unit, really well made. And I've ridden in rain. Now obviously I didn't want to record in the rain because it'd get all over the camera and you wouldn't be able to see anything. But some raindrops dropped on the screen, and to be honest, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't touching stuff and moving things around and selecting stuff. It was working okay. You might have different mileage, it might vary as you try it, but what a good little unit for 220 quid. Chuck it on there. It's well made as a plastic thing can be, but it's well made. It works really well, and I've been using it for, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, and every time I've got on the phone, on the bike, it connects to my phone without issue instantly. As soon as the bike starts up, it goes through a setup process and then connects to my phone and sorts out my Apple CarPlay, which I'm very, very pleased about. I'm not going to bother about the SD card and playing music off an SD card because I do it all from my phone. So if you like the video, give it a massive thumbs up, subscribe, do all that sort of jazz, and we'll see you in the next video.